Part 3 of the warm-up series is the dynamic mobility and flexibility. If you don't have a foam roller or a mini band, I would probably skip right to this part and make sure that you at least do this before you go run. So the first thing we're going to do are knee hugs. So you can either do this in place or moving. So you want to pull your knee up to your chest, get a nice big stretch, standing up nice and tall. Next, we're going to do a straight leg march. So having your hands right out in front of you, you're going to bring your opposite foot to your hand, trying to keep your legs nice and straight. Next, we're going to do an inverted toe touch. This movement will focus on some foot stabilizing, balance, as well as some hamstring flexibility. So you want to start with one hand up in the air and reach down towards your opposite foot, trying to maintain a nice straight line from one hand and foot. So as he's reaching down, that same side foot is going back behind him. Next, we have a quad stretch. Again, you can do this walking or in place. So you're going to grab one foot, pull it behind you, and reach that opposite arm nice and straight all the way up. So it's stretching his quad, the front of his leg, and getting a nice big stretch along his lats and hips. Our next movement is called a Spider-Man and reach. So you want to step one foot back, put your hands down next to your foot, reach that arm up. You want to really make sure that back leg is nice and straight to get a nice big stretch on your hip flexor, and then some nice thoracic rotation as you're turning to the side. The next movement is a side lunge, so you can either do it moving or in place. Zeb's just going to go side to side. So the goal here is to get a nice big stretch on the inside of that straight leg. This next movement is called over and under the hurdle. So he's going to take two really high steps, like he's stepping over a hurdle, working on some hip range of motion, and then two low steps. If you're doing this in place, you want to make sure that you end up switching so that you do both sides. Our next movement is a lunge and rotate. So we're working on turning on those lower body muscles as well as your core by rotating. You want to rotate over that front knee. He's going to step back and then rotate forward over that front knee. Make sure that anytime you're doing any type of lunge that you're pushing through your heel to stand up, not the ball of your foot. You also want to make sure that your knee stays over your ankle and does not move forward past your toe. That is bad for your knees. Make sure you keep your shoulders over your hips. Do not lean forward. That is another way that you can put pressure in your knees. Our next movement is just jogging in place, or you can get some high knees going to really turn on those hip flexors and get them ready to go. Last but not least, we have skipping. So you can either skip in place, or if you have room to move around, you can skip forward and backwards.